Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're cracking open an incredible passage from the ancient text, the Mahabharata, to uncover some truly timeless lessons on leadership, diplomacy, and emotional intelligence. Honestly, what we're about to look at isn't just some dusty historical artifact. It's a deep dive into human psychology and statecraft that feels just as applicable in today's modern boardrooms as it did in ancient royal courts. So, let's jump right in.
Think about this for a second. How does a leader actually rebuild after a massive, devastating loss? We are stepping right into the messy aftermath of a ruinous event, a disastrous game of dice that literally cost a kingdom. The high-stakes dynamic we're looking at here is between Yudhishthira, the defeated but righteous king, and his uncle, the old, blind King Dhritarashtra, who actually presided over that very loss. The tension? It's totally palpable. But instead of drawing swords, they engage in this brilliant dialogue of diplomacy.
Which brings us to Section 1, Submission to the King, which gives us the setup of this ancient negotiation.
Now, what is truly striking right out of the gate is the complete absence of ego here. Yudhishthira has just been terribly wronged. Yet his opening move? Absolute humility. He says, "O king, thou art our master. Command us as to what we shall do." He even adds that they desire to remain always in obedience to him. Now you might think, is this weakness? Absolutely not. It's a highly calculated, emotionally intelligent strategy to de-escalate a super volatile situation. By offering total surrender, Yudhishthira completely disarms any residual hostility in the room.
And guess what? It works perfectly. The old king responds so warmly, addressing his nephew with a very specific, beautiful title, Ajatasattu. This translates to one whose enemies are unborn, or one without enemies. It's this incredible term of endearment that perfectly foreshadows the profound themes of peace and reconciliation that the king is about to lay out. It completely resets the collaborative tone for the whole shebang.
That takes us right into Part 2, the path of peace, and the philosophy of forbearance.
So, old King Dhritarashtra transitions into his core thesis on statecraft, which he literally describes as a nutritive regimen and wholesome advice. It's so fascinating how this lays out an ancient standard for having a sharp mind. He says where there is intelligence, there is forbearance. According to this ancient mandate, true intelligence isn't just about outsmarting your opponent. It requires immense patience, serious emotional control, and an unwavering focus on peace. It's all about the ability to pause rather than just react.
To really drive this point home, the king uses a striking metaphor. He tells Yudhishthira, "The axe falleth upon wood, not upon stone." It's a poetic, powerful image straight from the source text, and it serves as the ultimate anchor for his entire speech on how to actually navigate conflict.
This leads right into a really sharp comparison. The wood represents Yudhishthira, yielding, open to advice, and willing to be shaped. The stone, on the other hand, represents the king's own son, Duryodhana, who is stubborn, rigid, and totally resistant to counsel. Think about it. If you hit a stone with an axe, the axe breaks, sparks fly. It's just destructive conflict. But wood? Wood accepts the blade. The king is praising Yudhishthira's receptiveness as basically the supreme virtue of leadership.
Moving right along to Section 3, Traits of Good Men, where we break down the anatomy of wisdom versus hostility.
The crucial point here is how different types of people handle conflict. The king draws a massive line between two extremes. On one side, we've got the good and wise. These are the folks who remember only good deeds, look only at the merits of others, and actively avoid getting into hostilities. On the flip side, we have the worst of men, whose defining characteristic is that they utter harsh words in quarreling. It's a stark contrast, isn't it? The emotional intelligence of the wise, pitted against the reactionary hostility of people who just let anger run the show.
And the text goes even deeper into the psychology of this, stating, "They that are good, having regard to the state of their own feelings, can understand the feelings of others." I mean, this is a profound, incredibly ancient articulation of empathy. The king explains that because wise individuals understand their own emotional landscape, they can easily project that understanding onto others. They just do good without any expectation of a return on investment, simply because it's in their nature.
Now, things take a very interesting turn as we hit Part 4, the dice game explained, and honestly, the political spin.
We really have to ask the elephant in the room question here. If King Dhritarashtra is so wise and loves peace so much, why on earth did he allow that disastrous dice match to proceed in the first place? It's literally the event that caused all this misery. How does a leader justify presiding over a total catastrophe while simultaneously trying to hold on to the moral high ground?
Well, his explanation is quite the pivot.
The king claims he allowed the match from motives of policy. He actually states it was a deliberate test to see his friends and to examine the strength and weakness of his children. Now, it's really up to you to decide how to interpret this one. Is this a genuine, calculated strategy of a ruler testing his heirs, or is it a masterful piece of political spin to save face and absolve himself of guilt? Either way, it's a fascinating moment of historical PR. Immediately following this excuse, the king makes a deeply personal plea. He asks Yudhishthira to just ignore the harsh words of his son Duryodhana and instead look to him, an old blind father, and to Yudhishthira's aunt, Mother Gandhari. He's actively using their old age and physical vulnerabilities to appeal for familial peace and forgiveness. It's a powerful negotiation tactic, leaning hard on family bonds and sympathy to ensure this fragile peace treaty holds together.
Finally, we reach Section 5, return to Khandavaprastha, marking their triumphant departure.
As the dialogue wraps up, the king issues his final blessings by specifically acknowledging the unique strengths of Yudhishthira's camp. Look at this roster of virtues. It honestly reads like a classic character stat sheet for the ultimate, perfectly balanced team. We've got Yudhishthira representing pure virtue, Arjuna bringing patience, Bhimasena offering immense prowess or strength, the twins providing pure reverence for superiors, and Vidura acting as the deeply intelligent counselor. The king recognizes that together, this group is an unstoppable, well-rounded force.
With these blessings and a strict command to keep their hearts fixed on virtue, the scene ends with an incredibly vivid visual. The text describes them departing with cheerful hearts, accompanied by Draupadi and ascending chariots that are the hue of the clouds. They set out for their city, Indraprastha. It's a really beautiful restoration of brotherly love and a triumphant, peaceful exit from a situation that could have so easily ended in immediate, catastrophic war. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought drawn straight from the old king's wisdom. If true intelligence is genuinely measured by forbearance, by the ability to remain like wood rather than stone when struck, how are you going to respond to your next conflict? Are you going to react with harsh words, or will you pause, lean into empathy, and choose the path of peace? It's an ancient question for sure, but it's one we still have to answer every single day. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive into the Mahabharata.